Hello, everyone. A warm welcome to all of you, all of us, to Women Together. It's a joy to be together today and to be sharing this virtual space. And I see many of us are already saying hello in the chat and sharing where we're coming from. My name is Antoinette, and I am the host of Eileen Fisher's Women Together. And very excited to just in a few moments introduce our special guest for today. But just to let us land here in our connection to each other, I'll read out a few of the places that we're coming from. Many of us seem to be coming from the US today. Sometimes we are coming from across different parts of the world, so feel free to share. We've got New York City in the room, Massachusetts, New York City again, Washington, D.C., Long Island, Oregon, Austining, New York, Reno, and holding, Leah just said that she's calling in from Reno near the Western Fires. So just holding all that is happening across the country and the world. San Clemente, California, San Rafael, California, Irvington, New York, our headquarters. Susan in Toronto, welcome. Dallas, West Nyack, Hartford, Connecticut, Ohio, Yorkshire, England. Yeah, Vancouver, BC, and Manila, Philippines. So we are spanning across various parts of the world. A warm welcome to all of us as we land in this space and time together. It's a moment that we take an hour each week to just land and be together and connect with one another. And it's something that we've been doing weekly throughout the pandemic, but also prior to that, we would gather pretty much every month as a kind of a way to land and practice together and do some tiny practices that allow us just to connect back into the essence of who we are and what we're doing here on this little spinning planet. So to have this time to connect with each other can be really wonderful. And I am very much looking forward to hearing from Sarah, who will share with us more of her practices and stories for us. So really looking forward to that today. But just to land, perhaps we do a little moment of stillness. So if you'd like to just come into a connection with the breath, and a way that we like to do that is just landing the feet flat on the ground. Just coming into a comfortable position in the body. Just tuning into the state of the breath at the current moment. Just feeling the breath moving in and out. You can close your eyes or lower your gaze if that's comfortable for you. Just following the breath. Perhaps as you bring the breath in, you can feel it moving up and down the spine. So perhaps on the inhale, moving the breath in and down the spine. And on the exhale, letting the breath travel up the spine. Maybe feeling a little bit of extension of the spine as you exhale. And just really landing in this body with each breath. If your mind has wandered, you can just call yourself back to the breath. When you're ready, you can just begin to open your eyes and reconnect with the screen and to beautiful faces who are on the screen in front of us. And what you can do is you can, when you're ready, click into the gallery view in the top right corner of your Zoom screen, if that's available to you, and just begin to take in the room. So one of the ways we do this is by just picking a few boxes on the screen and just giving a little hello, a little just welcome, a warm welcome from the heart, and just connecting with 4 of those boxes, just seeing that we're here. Yeah, that we're all here together. Just welcoming all that comes with being in this human body in this time. Just really welcoming, not just with the eyes, but with the heart, with the whole body, just welcoming them in as if we have eyes all over our body. Just giving a really warm hello, landing. What an incredible group. I like to imagine us sitting in circle together. And I think what the world needs right now is a little bit more of women sitting in circle together. So if we can hold that feeling of us sitting in circle together and feeling us arm in arm kind of next to each other and bringing something to the center of our circle, a story, an experience, a moment, just knowing that what's on your heart is important right now. So as you come to this gathering today, and our topic is feminine leadership, although we might kind of wander and see where we go, but as we do this, I'd wonder what brought you here today. And perhaps it's, the connection with other women coming together in this circle. Perhaps it's something more specific, or seeing Sarah. But if you just want to share in the chat, we can take a couple of moments to just take in what brought you here today. And you can do this in the chat on Zoom or in the comments on YouTube, and I'll just read a few out. So feel free to type in what is coming up for you, what brought you here today. Just noting a few more of us on the YouTube in very hot Colorado, Western Colorado, Boston, Owatonna, Minnesota, Seattle, Montgomery, Alabama, and Texas. And then in terms of what's bringing us here today, Risa shares it's a time of returning. Kathleen shares the joy of connection with this great group. Bianca, community, love. And Bianca, thank you for sharing what you did after our little moment of stillness. Alicia, taking some time to recenter and be in community with all the wonderful women here. Joe Carroll says, my genuine relaxation for the week. I'm glad that this 1 hour gives us that. Sometimes it's just one little hour to kind of pull us back together for the week. Terry, bringing in Haitian and Afghani women into the circle. And I just want to honor Terry, you bringing that in and bringing all those women in, and just knowing that as we sit in circle together, that there are many women who can't sit together in circle in this moment, and just holding all of those women who might be going through hardship at this time, just making space within ourselves and within our circle for all of those women. Kala shares, this group is a grounding force, and I love getting connected with women across the world, especially at this tumultuous time. Katie says, the topic of feminine leadership feels important in this time, beyond just women, what feminine leadership is and how we can embody it. Yes, thank you for sharing that. Doreen, desire, depth of need for myself and others. Lisa says, I do several women's group, but this is the can't miss grounding hour. I love it. So there are many more messages, and I could just sit here reading them. I love it. And I encourage you to do so. And I think this kind of helps us land. One last one, Rosemary, being in the midst of feminine energy is nourishing. And one more, I think it's fascinating to see how we can redefine and embrace leadership that acknowledges our strengths. So thank you all for tuning into that and sharing and just speaking to what brought you here today, because that really just helps us land with the circle as a whole and just allows us to check in a little bit. So before I turn it over to Sarah, I'll tell you a little bit about her. I've recently got to know Sarah, but have heard rumblings of how great Sarah is. And when we had our conversation, I just felt personally a little return to myself and a lot of the stories that I grew up with, and a kind of reframe and reshape that Sarah brings to some of the stories of Jewish history. And that's a tradition that I grew up in. So having Sarah's take on that has really helped me personally. And it's something that I really am grateful for. And just to tell you a little bit more about Sarah, she's the passionate founder of At the Well. She's been a student of sociology and holistic medicine. She's a national champion athlete, which I want to hear more about. But she's an instructor of yoga and mindfulness and an actively engaged member of the Jewish community. And those experiences are what's given her the understanding and the power that comes from being in a supportive community, which many of us know about, and really feeling connected to spirituality and having an understanding of our cycles. She says that At the Well was created out of love. It is a place to be witnessed and to witness others, to share, to learn, and a place to connect to Jewish heritage, to everyday life. So Sarah, we're just really grateful to have you here with us today. And I know that as we were talking, we kind of went down a whole lot of wonderful rabbit holes, and I felt like we could spend hours and hours together. And I wonder if you might want to share what's coming up for you, and maybe a story and some practice for us. And then we'll go into some connection with each other, which I often find is the best part, but we get a little dose of your stories and practices to take us in. So over to you, Sarah.
Taking the mic. Thank you. Oop, did I just ask to unmute? Can you hear me? Okay. Hello, everyone. From my Zoom room to yours. I'm calling you all from Washington, D.C., which is where I'm born and where I'm from. And I hope to be emanating this feminine leadership all over from this Zoom room and rippling out. It's a total honor to be here with you all. And I hope that my presentation just ripples more light into your life and into your activism and into your leadership into the world. I by no means am going to be able to give a full course on my opinion of feminine leadership, nor do I even claim to even know fully what that is. But I want to push the needle a little bit for us today. Before I even go into what I'm going to present, I would love to use the chat box to actually ask you all, what is feminine leadership? Let's get some collective wisdom going here. And again, so grateful to Antoinette and to Iti and to Karen and to Eileen and the Women Together Network for having me here and giving me a chance to present with you all. Inspiration and healing, nurturing wisdom, being authentic and not caring what others think about me, snaps to that, raising each other up, softness and strength, curiosity, collaborative and decisive, authentic, intuitive, heart compassion based, willing to listen to all participants, lifting each other up and empowering our communities, being a presence and speaking up when other people don't, resilient, balancing the patriarchy with divine feminism, focusing on the needs of women, balance, and the list continues on. I feel like we need to save this chat and create a blog from Women Together so that we can continue to flush this out and perhaps really define what feminine leadership means to us, people who are alive on Earth right now, so that the folks who come after us will have a legacy. I'm going to share my screen. I made a little presentation. I'm not used to just speaking at people, so you're going to do a lot of chat box stuff together today. We're here talking about feminine leadership today. Again, the organization that I created with many, 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 many other people and volunteers all over the world. It's called At the Well. We enable the well-being of modern women based on ancient Jewish practices. You do not need to be quote unquote Jewish. You just need to be interested in ancient wisdom and use it as a root, just like we're using lots of ancient wisdoms in the world today. Like I said, I really want to hear from you all. And it's a practice of my ancestors, who, as a Sarah, I'm named for, that you wake up in the morning and you start with gratitude. And then we added on with At the Well something that you're proud of. So I'd love for everyone to type into the chat just something that you're grateful for and something that you're proud about for yourself. I think it's so important that before we can go out into the world and bring our leadership, we need to take on these characteristics of nurturing, compassion, resilient, owning our feminine leadership first. Grateful that I'm on the path to authenticity, grateful for my health and proud of the lessons, grateful for my friends and family. I'm grateful for my sanity, and maybe you're also proud of your sanity. I just heard my sanity. Grateful that I'm a survivor, proud to be learning and growing every day, proud that I'm still alive, and grateful for the trees and birds. I'm proud of getting out of the quote unquote rat race, taking a breath to observe, and able to create the space where I can help others in need. Grateful to be the first female in my family to go to college and be educated. I'm grateful for my daughters and for my supportive team. Then remember to really take the time to acknowledge what you're grateful for. Allow that to be something that you can feel. And then the harder thing of something that you're proud of for yourself, and allow yourself to feel that. Give yourself permission to do that. It's not bragging. It's allowing yourself to celebrate how you spend your life. Proud of practicing love and spreading joy. I'm proud to be a healer. I'm proud of practicing love and spreading joy. I saw that again. You guys should wake up. I'm proud to be a unique thinker. I'm proud to have courage to open my heart. I know I'm deserving of peace and joy. Proud to be caring. And the chat box will continue on. I strongly encourage folks to be listening to me and reading the things that are coming up. And the most important thing is to just allow yourself to have that feeling, because we can't go on together without first acknowledging what we have to be grateful for and what we can be proud of. So the nonprofit that I run, like I said, is on a mission to enhance the well-being of modern women through ancient Jewish practices. It's open to all people who are interested in that. There's so many places to pull ancient wisdom forward, and I just feel like the culture that I come from has something to offer. The main thing that we do is support the ritual of Rosh Chodesh, which means new moon. We support women coming together every new moon and joining and storytelling and using the themes of the spiritual month to lift each other up and embody leadership, as well as healing and joy and connection. We call them well circles. New moon women's gatherings are found in almost every culture on earth. Any society that has a connection to land, cycles, and indigenous heritage, like Jewish people, and many, many, many others, have a history of women coming together. And what At the Well does is that we support and teach this ritual of women coming together every new moon. So like I said, if you're interested in learning how to make a women's circle for yourself, that's outside of our Zoom gather here, that's with 10 people, and you just want to commit to meeting every month, let At the Well be a resource to you, whether or not you're interested in ancient Jewish wisdom or not, because it's a universal practice. Oh, too far, too fast. Sisterhood and well circles. We founded this organization now 6 years ago. We have hundreds of what we call well circles all over the world, spanning all different ages and any kind of diversity under the sun. And we're here to help encourage that. with you all and anybody who's out there. There's something so powerful about coming together. And I know that you all feel that because you come here and you're on this Zoom room with 80 other participants from all over the world. The biggest thing that I think is important for a community is that it's a group of people who commit to creating a shared responsibility for belonging with each other. So when you participate in building something, you find purpose and belonging together. I think that maybe you all even feel that when you type into the chat box, that you're creating this container together. So I'd love for everyone to go into the chat box and tell me or share with everyone here, where do you find the greatest places of belonging? The internet. Suzanne, tell me where you find belonging on the internet. Like, the internet is a expanding universe of web pages. What specific corner of the internet are you talking about? Find belonging in my church community, in my family, with women in my dance class, with people that I've known for a long, long time, inside myself. Some folks are saying I'm still looking for belonging. In meditation, in global communities, swimming. I'm a big dancer and swimmer too, so shout out to those folks. Belonging is when you show up. Belonging is when you give your time and you give your heart and you create something. Belonging doesn't just happen to us, and it's not something that you really can buy. It's something that you're using your time and your energy for. And showing up with other folks in the same space, whether or not it's here on the internet or if it's in your local neighborhood or community center or spiritual place of worship. It's when you really show up that you find that secret sauce of belonging. That's so important. It's something so powerful that there's a tradition in every culture on earth of women gathering every month that I feel like I really just want to lift up and say a million times over. Because there's far too few places in society that are teaching us how to do that and the importance of doing it. But I think with Women Together and with At the Well and organizations like this, we're able to continue to bring it forward in the world. And I hope that this inspires more of it. I want to talk to you about this radical story for those folks who are versed in Torah or the New Testament. You might have heard of this, although probably not, because I grew up in a community where I learned sort of biblical stories all the time, and I was never taught this story. For those folks who don't come from those cultures, don't worry, just think of it as mythology. Think of this as a radical story that's been on earth for thousands of years. And you can take what you can learn from it, whether or not it's something that you find in your religious practice or not. This story it's called The Daughters of Zelophehad. And for the Torah geeks out there, it comes in the book of Numbers, portion Pinchas, chapter 7, verse 1 through 11. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen because now you have it. And I want to see you all. I couldn't see you before. Okay, The Daughters of Zelophehad. Show of hands, who knows this? Risa knows it. Any other people heard of the Daughters of Zelophehad? A couple of people. Okay, great. Well, so for those of you who are learning this with new time, congrats. And for those who've heard it a million times, here's my version of it on one foot. These daughters are part of the Israelites. They're the last generation that's been wandering in the desert. It's been 40 years that their ancestors have been wandering and escaped slavery in Egypt. And they literally are wandering. They get to the end of this wandered many generations, and they're about to go into the promised land. You can imagine the intensity of this moment of people leaving slavery, trying to figure out in the hot desert where to go without water, without anything, without a guide, and eventually reach all the way to the moment to arrive at the promised land. Right before they go into the promised land, there's a revolt. And there's a war. And these 5 sisters, dad dies defending the Israelites in this moment. And then right again, before they go into the promised land, there's a discussion about who gets to own land. And they said, maybe type into the chat box what you think they said, who gets to own land. See if the audience kind of knows. Men. Correct. Men get to own land. No surprise there, right? Well, these daughters did not think that that was just or fair or actually by law their inheritance. And they thought that they had a case for themselves. And the story goes, all these 5 daughters are named, and I want to say their names because it's actually very few times that all the women's names get mentioned, and I want their legacy to be heard by us because we're all inheriting their hard work. Machla, Noah, Holga, Milcha, and Tirza. Some of not the prettiest names out there, but their names are mentioned. These 5 sisters decide that they are going to go before the high priests and Moses and make a case for themselves. The story doesn't send just the oldest one or the prettiest one or the smartest one or the best warrior or etc. They send all 5 sisters together. And you can imagine the scene again. There's like a high priest tent, there's Moses's tent. It's an intense moment of trying to figure out who's going to go where. And these daughters, who are the Israelites, probably the lowest class, go all together right in front of the tent, and they make a case for themselves. And they argue and debate with Moses, saying that they believe that they get to inherit land, and that since their father died on behalf of supporting the Israelites, they're deserving of this inheritance. And through an incredibly vulnerable leadership moment from Moses himself, Moses says, you know what? I don't know. Let me go talk to God. Moses goes, talks to God. And God says, of course, give them land. And so there it is, right there in the 5 books of Moses, a law where women get to inherit land. A pretty radical declaration for something that's thousands of years old. I love this story because I think it gives an incredible example of feminine leadership. Not one sister goes, all the sisters go together. And when I asked you in the beginning of this conversation what feminine leadership was, I saw a lot about resilience. I saw a lot about collaboration. I saw a lot about balance and being able to go and be resilient in the world and stand up for women when other people couldn't. And these 5 sisters are doing that. So I hope today that we can use their story as inspiration for ourselves, because I know that each of you, all 81 people on this call, are trying to live their life with purpose and make change for their communities and for their families. And what I want us to do in the breakout rooms is to consider, who are your 4 other sisters that are with you? Okay, so for a second, well, I want to pause. I know we're almost out of time, but does anyone have any questions about that? For those people who study Bible, this might be a new time hearing this, or the first time a woman's teaching this story to you. You guys agree that this is like a righteous story? We should be teaching this all over the place. We need their names. And I saw that one person has a daughter named for one of the women here. I hope that we have a whole next generation of people who name their daughters here. So what I want us to do for a moment is, I would like for everyone to grab a piece of paper and a pen. You're all in your house or your living room, can't be too far away from you. And I want you to answer this question. What kind of change are you pursuing? And I want you to answer, and it could be a personal thing, or it could be something for your community or for the world. And ET's put the question in the chat. What kind of change are you pursuing? Give me some sort of affirmative gesture when folks have something written down, like a thumbs up or a smile or dance move. Y'all still writing? I see the heart coming at me. Yeah, I love people are welcome to put it into the chat, but I want you to make sure that you have it for yourself. Like I've asked you for gratitude. I've asked you to define feminine leadership. I've asked you to find something that you're proud about. And now I'm asking you to very clearly say, what kind of change are you creating? Or change are you pursuing? Now, are you all ready? Okay, that's the base. Now I want you to imagine that you have 4 sisters right there next to you, walking right hand in hand with you as you go immediately towards that change that you're pursuing. And I want you to list those 4 sisters. If you have more than 4 sisters, that's also okay. List those 4 sisters, write their names down, because in the breakout rooms, you are going to share. Who are the people that are walking hand in hand with you towards this change that you're bringing? Say their names and the qualities that they bring. These people could be alive with us on Earth, or they could have passed. They could be people that you've met before, or people that you've never met. What I really want to make sure that we're doing right now is showing that the change that we want in the world happens from our actions and with other people in places of belonging. And if you want to put me or Antoinette or Eileen Fisher or somebody's name whose face you can see in this box, even though you've never met them before, but you can feel their energy to be with you, write us in. The last question I want you to write down before we go into the breakout rooms is, what does it look like for you alongside your sisters that you've identified to go forward towards the change that you're pursuing? What does it look like? What does it feel like? I'll type it in here. What does it look like? What does it feel like to walk with your sisters towards the change you are creating? This story comes from one of the oldest books on earth. Whether or not you were ever taught it or not, it's something we all inherited as humans. In a moment, we're going to send you all to breakout rooms. It's possible that you're not done with your list, but your questions will be for you after. This is how you follow up with me if you have any questions or anything I can do to support you. And with that, I am going to pass it back to Antoinette, and thank everyone so much for going through this exercise with me.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you everyone on Zoom and on YouTube. We have 35 of our sisters in YouTube who have been having some active participation in there too. So we tried to bring some of those chats into the Zoom chat as well. So thank you all for taking the time to just go into this. What kind of change do we want to seek in the world, and how do we start within to do that? And who are the sisters by our side to make that happen? And I love, Sarah, that you brought us in to support that as well, because that is why we do what we do, to be in sisterhood and to create, for me, it's a caring world. So really glad to have gone through this story and activity together. We will give 20 minutes, which will only give us 3 minutes at the end, but I think it is important to hold the 20 minutes in groups of 4 so that we get some time together. And just a reminder that we don't know what the other person had for breakfast this morning, let alone what we've gone through in the rest of our lives and how this story may have landed for us. So please enjoy your time together. We'll be back here in 20 minutes and feel free to dive in and just make sure that everyone gets a chance to share. So we'll see you back here. Enjoy your time.